Did you hear what you said?
Yeah, I had to accept that you were recording. Yeah.
Yay! We're recording. Hello, welcome to Whittle Waffle. This is May 2023. I'm Stacey Whittle, and I have a special guest this time, and that's my gorgeous sister who's there.
Hello.
This is Kelly. So thank you very much for coming and podcasting with me.
Thank you for having me.
It's a bit weird.
It's a bit, yeah.
There's a little bit of us wants to work out how to put you underneath so we can do the university challenge thing from the young ones.
Yeah. Are you just working out how to get a really bad angle on me, like on Facebook?
Well, everyone has to have a hobby, and mine is taking unfortunate photos of you for my private.
You're really good at it. I mean, you don't even need that much help.
So I thought I'd do like a tiny mini, I didn't tell you this bit, but I thought I'll just ask you a quick couple of nerdy questions.
Okay.
Because you are fairly nerdy too.
I'm not as nerdy as you though, so I'm a bit nervous.
It's not a competition.
It's not a competition.
Anymore.
We're so over that, yeah.
Yes. But we are very lucky enough to have two dads, and both of them nerdy in their own ways, who introduced us to Harry full of fantasy and that sort of thing, and Alex very much in their hardcore science fiction thing. Do you think that's where your nerdiness comes from?
Yeah, I mean, when you're young and you're watching Red Dwarf and things all the time, it kind of shapes the lens through which you watch other things. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I tell you what, I had a real kind of surprise when I eventually moved out of our house, because, you know, he had all of those sci-fi books, and he had all the Philip K. Dicks and the Isaac Asimovs, and I was just so used to having them to hand. And then when I moved out, I realised none of them were mine, and I had to start my own book collection from scratch. But yeah, that ended up looking quite similar to the collection we would have shared at home all those years ago. Yeah. I mean, I do too, but the core of kind of Asimov I've got, and Philip K. Dick, all the essentials are still there. Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully the Douglas Adams as well.
We've absolutely got Douglas Adams. In fact, we've got two sets, because when I moved in with Hugh, obviously we both had a full set. So.
And the thing is, the weird thing I think is that I don't think my dad would agree if we said that he was nerdy.
No, maybe because he to him that wasn't an identity. Perhaps that's the difference. It was kind of one interest among other interests he had, although arguably some of his other interests, like computers and things, you could say are quite nerdy.
Well, he's a gamer as well.
Exactly. I mean, he's
fucking nerd.
Type of nerd. But no, it's the label really, and the fact that he doesn't really associate in those circles. I mean, I'm not sure many of his friends have the same interests. So yeah, I think the whole kind of socialization and who you see it reflected back from might be important into, you know, as to how you identify. Yeah.
Do you think you have a preference that leads one way or the other towards more sci-fi or more fantasy or more surreal stuff? Like Hugh was a huge Robert Rankin fan, which is how I met. Hugh. Yes. Was Kelly's husband.
My late husband, yes. Yeah, I mean, we did have a crossover of those interests, but I would say mine were more sci-fi. Which, yeah, I haven't been that much into fantasy. I'm not a big Lord of the Rings fan. I think, like most people, I read The Hobbit and never quite finished Lord of the Rings.
Well, I had your copy for about 16 years, I think. Then I forced you to take it back because I still hadn't fucking finished it.
Nobody finishes it, do they?
I finished it last year.
Oh, wow.
But as an audio book, which I found easier, less. But it's, I mean, the last one is fucking miserable, I have to say. And if your brain isn't, do you know what that noise is?
No. Is it the cat? Is it Ari?
You hear it?
No.
Tana's on sweet.
But you're so good at editing, you can just edit that bit out.
I'm not editing it out. Everyone knows Toll's just been at the toilet.
But having said that, although I do prefer more hardcore science fiction, there is a kind of dystopian kind of element that kind of sits across sci-fi and fantasy that I really love. So like Margaret Atwood's kind of Handmaid's Tale. A lot of some Philip K. Dick's books are kind of a bit alternate universe-y, and yeah, so I wouldn't say I'm not a fantasy fan because a lot of these things bleed in together. But if I had to absolutely choose, I would go sci-fi. Yeah.
I think she's gone in the shower.
I honestly can't hear it if that helps.
Killer.
You've got a teenager in the shower. I'd be really pleased if that was my teenager.
Probably the first time this week, and the choose now. It's typical, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not editing. Right then. Well, do you want to get started? We thought I'd just stick to my usual topics. So what am I reading, what we're watching, what any other nerdy stuff and knitting. So what are you reading?
Well, I finished this. Is it backwards? Is it backwards?
No, it's not backwards.
Oh, it's good. It's good. So Susanna Clarke, Piranesi. Yeah. It's lovely. It's lovely, but it's a bit of an awkward book. A fantasy book, ironically, after I just said I preferred sci-fi, but this is pure fantasy. It's gorgeous. It's kind of, I can't say too much about it because of the way the story unfolds. You have to discover it yourself. It's breadcrumby, and you need to kind of go on a journey to unravel it. But I'll describe how it starts, because then that's not really spoilers, but it opens on a beautiful, vast mansion. There's a single occupant, and he lives almost alone. And in this massive house, like the ocean covers the first few floors, and it comes in tides and things. Birds nest in the sky in the top floors. It's huge. And there's weird statues in every room. And there's only one other occupant, and he's the other. And Piranesi doesn't know his own name. He can't remember it, but the other one calls him Piranesi. So he knows it's not his name, but it's the only thing anyone else ever calls him. But then it's just understanding the kind of reality of his universe, and that's how the story unfolds. But Susanna Clarke, I think I saw you once review Susanna Clarke and say it was a written prose that demanded to be read aloud because it was so poetic and beautiful. And it's the same poetic, beautiful writing style. So if you like other Susanna Clarke, if you like Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, you will also like Piranesi.
I've got it on my Kindle.
Oh.
I haven't started it yet, but then I was thinking I might prefer to wait and get it on my audiobook. I'm gonna
for me, that would come down to the quality of the person speaking to it. You don't want somebody who wrecks it.
I know. Well, all audiobooks come down to the narrator sometimes, don't they? It's like no, but no, that's on my list as well. So you would recommend it. And you were a fan of Mr. Strange, Jonathan Strange.
Yeah, I loved it. I do. And I don't have a lot of time to read, so when I see a really big book, I kind of immediately think, oh, I'm never going to finish that. But that Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell was one big book that you just go through.
Yeah. I read that fucker in hardback and knocked me wrist.
I hate hardbacks. I never do hardbacks for that reason. They're just too, when you fall asleep, it whacks you in the face.
Well, what I'm reading at the minute is I've had this absolute passion for Louise Penny's Armand Gamache books that I've been reading. So I watched the television series Three Pines and found out it was based on a set of books. There's 18, I think. So I read the first book, was completely hooked. So I think last time I recorded, I'd read book 3 and 4. And then I've read book 5 and 6, and I'm halfway through book 7. So I think that sometimes get categorized as that cozy crime, and I hate that term. Like, what's cozy about someone being murdered?
Yeah.
So I don't like it, and especially get really offended. I think I did this rant last time, so I'll try not to. I get especially offended when Agatha Christie's put in the cozy crime. I think because that books are really clever, and bear in mind she was often the first person doing those twists that you've seen 500 times
Many
now.
times before. Yeah.
And some of them are so dark and twisted, like, and then there were none.
Yeah.
Cozy. No. Anyways, I really don't like that term, but I think this is another. I think one of the reasons why it's put in there is because they tend to be set in this same tiny little town in the middle of nowhere where everybody knows everybody else and everybody knows their business. And she seems to be as interested in the town and the people as the crimes. So they're sort of given equal time. So like she'll describe with like intense passion what they've eaten for breakfast, and you can smell it. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's like stuff like that that gets it put in the. Well, it's not.
It like draws you in, and you become part of it.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I want to go there. It doesn't exist, but I want to go there, and I want to go to Olivier's Deli, and I want to have a cafe au lait and croissants, and because it's set in Quebec, so there's a lot of French in it as well. Anyway, I'm obsessed. I'm finding it really hard to read anything else at the minute, so it's all Armand Gamache all the time here. Are you reading anything else, or?
I nearly finished this. Catherine May's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Not really a nerdy book, but I still love it. It's fabulous. It's not fiction. It's told by the author, about her life, and it's kind of a dual level book. So on the one level, it's about actual wintering, like looking at people in really cold countries and see how their lives change. So they don't live the same life from spring or through summer, through autumn and winter. It adapts. They eat different things, there's different rituals, different preparations. Yeah, it's really good. And it also kind of looks at our own history, because we would do something similar, kind of pickling through the autumn. So we're eating proper food over winter. We're not importing strawberries from Spain in December, that kind of thing. It's interesting. Just on that level alone, I would still love the book and find it really interesting. But then there's the second metaphorical level where wintering is kind of after a traumatic event. Say you're ill, or your loved one's ill, or bereavement or something. And it's about, again, having to kind of step back a bit. So normally, you get a couple of days compassionate leave, and then you go back on as normal. And it's almost like trying to give you permission to, it's like winter, step back, get through your winter in a different way to how your normal life is, and then go back, when you're a bit more renewed. So yeah, I think it's a lovely book.
That's interesting, because we have this book at my work, and for anyone who doesn't know, I work in a medical library, and we have a medicine and literature section, and I noticed that book was in there, and I wasn't sure why, but that makes sense now. Yeah.
No, it's lovely. It might be the wrong time of year to get into it now. I think reading it in autumn in the run-up, just giving yourself permission to do less in the evenings when it's darker, and not kind of feel the pressure to maintain all your activities and stuff. It's lovely. It's like somebody telling you it's all right to live a bit differently when you need to. It's really nice. Yeah.
Oh, I like the sound of that. I'm rubbish at reading non-fiction, but that sounds like I might have to give it a go.
Yeah, well, again, she's another really poetic writer. So it's non-fiction, but some of it is very kind of beautifully written. Yeah, it's nice. Give it a go.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm very attracted to books that are written like that, like Alice Hoffman. And do you like Alice Hoffman as well?
Yeah.
She's got a beautiful turn of phrase and things. I have actually read a comic this week, which is the first time in ages. Mine's probably going to be, but is it backwards? It is.
No, I can see it.
So it's called Something is Killing the Children.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Yeah. So it's by James Tinian the Fourth, Werther Deladra and Miguel Muerto. in my
Well
best
done.
Geordie. And in case if anyone's wondering why Kelly doesn't sound like Geet Raj like I do, is because she's lived down south for 16 years.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
This was also lettered by World Design, because I don't like to forget the letterer. Although I've never heard of World Design, so there you go. The thing is about, you know how I don't like scary?
Yeah.
Well, usually the exception, like, so I don't really like horror films, television series. I'm not watching The Last of Us. I have a particular hatred of zombies. Like, I know you do. But I watched an American Werewolf in London though.
Eventually.
Eventually, like this year. I'm 45 years old. Rick Meal's in it.
Is he?
Yes.
I mean, I have seen it, but I haven't watched it for a while.
He's just in the pub, you know, when they get to the pub.
Yeah.
And I've gone off on a tangent here, but I had this great story where John Landis, the director, was saying he'd been to see the Dangerous Brothers, and he thought it was great, and he met the guys afterwards and said, oh, well, I'm making this film, so if you want to be in it, just come to X point tomorrow and you can be in it. And Rick Meal turned up, and Adam Edmondson thought it was a joke, so he didn't turn up, and that's why he's not in it. Anyway, this was recommended to us, I think by Peter from the local Forbidden Planet. And I'll read the back. It says, when the children of Archer's Peak, a sleepy town in the heart of America, begin to go missing, everything seems hopeless. Most never return. The ones who do have terrible stories. Their only hope of finding and eliminating the threat is the arrival of a mysterious stranger, one who believes the children and claims to be the only one who can see what they see. Her name is Erica Slaughter. She kills monsters. That's what she does. So, like I say, I don't like horror, I don't like scary, and usually I never find comics scary, not ever. There's never been one. It doesn't matter how graphic it is, no. But I think this one, because it quite graphically shows dead children and children being killed, I found it a little bit difficult.
And actually, I said I love horror, and I do, but my line is kind
kids.
Of happening to kids. No, out.
And I think I cannot watch anything at all where kids die or I just, I think since I had kids, that was I just can't.
Yeah, no, I'm exactly the same.
Yeah, and I mean it was in the fucking title though, Cal. It's not like I didn't have a clue.
Spoiler.
And I wasn't ready for it, even though it's called this. On the other hand, there's something like Erica Slaughter, a blonde, skinny woman coming to save all the monsters, so save all the children from monsters, sounds a little bit familiar. Buffy. It's a really odd one because when it wasn't graphic, I was enjoying it and I liked the mystery. So to me, it's a little bit like a mix of Buffy, and also, did you watch? I didn't read this. I watched the film Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Also, I didn't read it, but saw the film. Yeah.
I loved the film. Really loved it. And you know the kind of monsters in that, and then only they were
invisible. One child could see them. That was his gift. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's something similar about that. There's even something similar about how the monster looks as it does in that film. So I'm seeing these elements and I find the story intriguing to where it's going to go, but I'm not sure if I can look at any more piles of, even though that it's artwork, so it's an odd one for me. But I mean, I love that the storytelling is really, really good, but the artwork it's not like anything that I'm used to. It's quite unusual. And another thing, I sound like I'm really critical of this, and I don't mean to be, but I'm just trying to find an example. Right, for example, this page here, you read it in standard comma formation, so like this, next page, but some of the pages, you read them across and right across the double page. And I found that really slowed us down and was confusing because I kept reading it the wrong way and then I'm thinking what, and then having to go back. So it's a really unusual style of storytelling, because I'm trying to find an example of where it's there. And of course I'm not going to. No, of course. No. So here, this one is read straight across with that central panel being in there. So it's straight across this way, which isn't, I don't know if that was the writer's decision or the artist's decision or who was responsible for the panel layout, but I found that difficult. But then on the other hand, I'm thinking, well, if it slows you down so you're paying attention to the story, is that a good thing? Is it not? But yeah, I don't know. Let's see one, like panels.
Is it not a bit annoying having that crease in the middle of the panel as well, just arranged so the writings around it and things?
I'm sure the artist wasn't thrilled. You wouldn't be, would you? But I guess if you were, I don't know if this was released in single issues, and because then it might not be as obvious, but no, but it would still be a double page that it'd have to be. So they must have known. Anyway, the artwork is lovely, but it's a little bit different and unusual and quite scratchy. And I think that makes sense for the subject matter. And if it had been really clear line work, I think that would have been really horrible. In fact, the scratchiness kind of hides some of the guts.
Oh, is that not worse sometimes when you're left to kind of imagine most of it yourself? Depends on how good the artist is. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't know whether I'll pick up the next one. That's the thing. But if I don't, then I won't know the end. So I'm conflicted about this.
See, I'm going to go off on a tangent now, but
good.
Torchwood, the Doctor Who spin-off. I was a big fan of Torchwood, but you know, what was it called? There was a kind of special mini one.
Children of Earth.
Was that when the aliens wanted to kidnap the kids?
With a Peter Capaldi in it?
Yes, he was a civil servant. That really upset me.
Yeah, that gets
got in my head, and I didn't watch any more Torchwood ever again. It was just, kids can't tolerate. I mean, I just had Catherine at the time it came out. She was a newborn, and maybe that affected things a bit. You know, you're full of those new mother hormones, and you're watching kids being kidnapped by aliens. And
yeah, it's really sticks in your head, that one. It's him walking the two kids upstairs.
But you know what? I don't see that one repeated a lot on TV. So I think a lot of people made it, too much.
I don't think they see Torchwood repeated, actually.
I mean, it was decent, but that whole kids thing, no.
Do you know, I've been listening to quite a lot of Terry Pratchett books on Audible, and they've re-released them all with a new narrator, and it's the girl from Torchwood who was in Luther as well, Indira. Can't remember her surname. She's very, very beautiful.
I know who you mean.
Yeah. And she's an absolutely first-rate, incredible narrator. Brilliant. Because I used to like Nigel Planer doing The Witches before that, but his Magrat was always Neil from The Young Ones. It's like, don't bring me down and hassle me, Nanny Yog. That's a thing I read. Are you got any other ones?
Quickly, I haven't got much into it yet, but the lovely Jim got me this for my birthday.
Ooh.
It's so beautiful. And it's kind of everything you ever want to know about Star Trek. It's like an encyclopedia stroke reference book. So I'm going to spend many a nice evening reading up on my favourite bits.
Oh, so yes, we are both big Star Trek fans, particularly for me. Next Gen, I think you'd probably say the same.
Yeah, well, yeah, and wasn't Picard 3 like Next Gen again? It was fabulous.
I haven't watched the last series yet. No spoilers.
Shit! Please watch it.
I know, I need to. It's on my list.
Amazing. It's amazing. But I think most people know most of the Next Gen cast.
I know, I've seen that.
Together.
How hot is Frakes holding up as well?
No, he's not doing bad.
Yeah, I would.
In fact, all of them are, I mean, they're older, but some of them are a bit more distinguished. Geordie LaForge looks better now than back then. Worf, long grey hair.
Mm.
Yeah, they're not doing bad. They're not doing bad. It was always going to end up like this, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I've got one more. I haven't got it here because I've been reading it digitally, but I've just started picking up 2000 AD again. A few progs back, I've written down the number from prog 2326, because my lovely friends Alec and Ben, I've got their second, I think it's their second run at Durham Red in their Mad Dogs, and I thought it was an excuse to go back to it because I've been really missing it, but I've just really struggled to find time to read a weekly comic at the minute, whereas before the little one came along, I would never miss it. Like every week is something I looked forward to. It's one of those things that's really fallen by the wayside. So it's really odd when you go back because like so much has happened since the last time that some of the stories are impossible to get into, and but some of them like standalone dreads are easy and comforting almost to spend time with him again, but particularly for Durham Red, which I have to stop winding Alec up because I keep saying but what about this accent then, because it's from Durham. Do you not think she should be saying like, how am I a Raji bastard and all of this? And he sent us this lovely message back about how he'd come to choose our transatlantic accent. I was like, I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, Durham, you want to be a bit more Billy Elliot, don't you? A bit more, yeah.
Pitmatic.
Yeah.
It's really hard to say Pitmatic without being pure Geordie. You try.
Pitmatic.
Oh. Well, John Wagner had another one of the mutants be from up here, and he was called the Torso from Newcastle. It's a mutant. He was mostly torso. Anyway,
really gross.
He was fab, and I think his real name is George Miller. Whenever I hear George Miller, I always think of you.
Yeah.
George Miller. I'm gonna have to explain that quickly. When we were young and we lived in a very poor area, they used to send these vans around the neighborhood, and there was like a bread van and
There's no corner shops.
no corner shops. No, we're old ladies, especially you. She's the oldest. So like bread van, and there was a
pop van. There's a pop van with. Oh no, that was George Miller's van.
George Miller, yes.
And
like a
food, potatoes,
mix up.
Egg and potatoes for the egg and chips.
Anyway, Kelly couldn't say George Miller properly. She used to say George Mia or something. You were just learning French. George. That's how you say it in French, isn't it?
I give them an upgrade, yeah.
Anyway, what the very clever John Wagner did was have the torso from Newcastle be unable to speak.
Don't have to deal with accents.
No, but although he wrote Midden McNulty, he was very Scottish, but he's Scottish, so I think that's probably easier than trying to deal with written down Geordie, which even I struggle to write out how we say things. So I am only teasing, Alec, I don't mean it. Anyway, it's beautiful and it's great and it looks fabulous, and I'm really enjoying reading 2000 AD again, so that's really nice. That's me done reading wise, I think. What about you?
Yeah, I don't read as much as I should, so that's me.
No, me neither these days, unless you count having to read the same Scrappy Doo comic to the little one over and over and over and over again. And I haven't actually got much that I was thinking, what have I watched? But I've been I've had a big long weekend away, and I've had a lot of time when I've not been home, and I really haven't watched very much at all. So I've written down what have I watched. The only thing that stands out is that we watched Bullet Train. I don't know if you've seen that.
No.
It's a film, possibly on the Netflix.
I've seen it advertised. I think I can watch it. Yeah.
It's got Brad Pitt and Joy King, Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Brian Tyree Henry, I think he's called. It's like an ensemble cast thing. And it's about a bunch of assassins who all end up on this train for all different reasons to come together for a particular reason. And that's like the most of the plot I want to say, because it's interesting how it's put together. But what I can tell you is I absolutely loved it. It's really fun. Brad Pitt does comedy really well, and he's very funny.
Yeah,
And
I've been funny in things before. Mr.
Yeah.
and Mrs. Smith. I mean,
I love Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
It's a bit of a disposable film, but it's good fun and he's funny. Yeah.
He is funny. And yeah, I recommend this. It's like a fun action film that's very well done and has some brilliant celebrity cameos in it. And I loved it. I thought it was great. It was like one of those. Well, I love action movie. Like I love an 80s action movie, like the best. And this is like that
If it's
sort
got
of.
a loud synth track as well, like backing track. Yeah.
Yeah, some quips in there.
A montage.
Oh, I love a montage. It's the best. There's that bit in. Have you ever seen Cobra, the Sylvester Stallone film?
I haven't, no.
Oh, Kelly, you need to watch it. It is amazing. It's got like it's got this bit where Sylvester Stallone just randomly rips some dude's shirt off for no reason. Just it's got oh, what's she called? Not Bridget Christie, that's the comedian. You know, tall woman, Red Sonja. He was married to her.
Oh, Bridget Nielsen.
That's her. She's in it. And there's this random bit in the middle where she's making a movie and there's just her and this music and all these robots and stuff. Like it's completely nuts and entirely brilliant. And I think he wrote it. I think he wrote it as well. And Brian Thompson's in it. I fucking love Brian Thompson.
Who's Brian Thompson?
I'm trying to think what you would know him from. He's like a big muscle man. And he was in Buffy. He was one of the big vampires in the first season. He's been in Charmed, and he turns up in these things, but he's like this big.
I'll Google him. Yeah.
Yeah, Google him. He's great. You'll recognize him straight away. He's one of those actors that's been in a lot
of cool stuff.
Yeah. Oh, you have to watch Cobra. It's so funny and awesome and brilliant and a little bit disturbing as well, but fab sort of thing. Anyway, Bullet Train's nothing like Cobra. But it's excellent and I recommend it. What about you? What you be watching? Obviously Picard, no spoilers.
Well, I'm not even going to go near Picard 3 if you haven't watched it yet, but basically if you're a fan of Next Gen, watch Picard 3. It's fantastic. Keeps you guessing as well. No spoilers, but I will say this. I mean, unlike some of the previous Picards, I mean, I love both of the first series. They were okay. This one is fantastic. It keeps you guessing, and at the end of every episode, I watched them all with Jim, and afterwards we'd be like, what the hell does that mean? When have we seen that before? And it all seems to be a bit more thematic, and you can join stuff up through its history and things. And
it's the last one, isn't it? They're not making any more.
The ancient, God love them. But yeah. Although having said that, no spoilers, but it ended on a little bit of an opener for perhaps a different direction with a different cast. But I'm not gonna. But I loved it. Things I can talk about though. I watched something on Netflix a while ago called Archive 81, and I loved it. It was really intriguing. It wasn't quite a horror, and it wasn't quite ghost, but it was very kind of atmospheric and kept you guessing, and nobody else I knew had ever watched it. And it's the kind of series it finishes and like, oh, I want to talk about it, but no one had watched it. So I made Jim watch it.
I'm writing it down. Archive what?
Archive 81 on Netflix.
Okay.
We had the same reaction at the end of it, which it's not just me, it's just because enough people don't know about it, but it's excellent. And I'll set the opening again. It's one of these things that unravels and has layers and stuff. But the opening is this quite solitary guy. He's an archivist, a digital archivist. He preserves films. And there's a lot going on. He's kind of preserving some old horror films for a friend who's lost a famous father. But then he gets a strange offer from this big company. I need you to come and work in this remote compound and kind of restore some films. And they're fire damaged films and they're very delicate. So he has to go there. They can't go to him. So he kind of goes away to this remote place to kind of restore these films. And what he's watching is a PhD video diary of this girl called Melody, who was doing investigations into the residents of this apartment block called the Visser. And she just wanted to know, why did you come here? What's life like here? Because it's one of these like American community buildings where they have common rooms and things. But then you get the impression that, maybe that's a front and she's actually looking for someone specific. And yeah, so it's kind of, you're watching her story at the same time you're watching his and what's going on with him, unraveling this story. And then about halfway through the series, kind of you get that what she's doing relates back to an earlier building that was there before the Visser that also burned down. Then suddenly you're in 3 time zones, watching the same kind of event, and they start bleeding through into each other. I don't want to say too much because it's hard to do so without spoiling it a lot. But it's not scary. There's a few little scary moments, but it's not horror. It's just really atmospheric and interesting, and I loved it.
Oh, it sounds fantastic. I'm going to watch that next.
But the only thing I will say is anyone who watches Netflix will know it's very fond of just cutting things off that were really good just because it doesn't get new people in. So the OA, it did it to the OA. And this one,
it's just done it to Lockwood and Company, I think.
Yeah, this is only one. It's only one series, 8 episodes. That's it. You can watch it in an evening, but that's all you get. But it's really very good.
Well, I'm going to definitely watch that. I've written it down so I won't forget. I'll forget anyway, and then I'll text you and I'll say, "What was that thing?" The only other thing I've been watching, well, two things. I'll talk this one first. Is I had a real hankering to rewatch the X-Files. I don't plan to do a big major rewatch of it because there's a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I'm but I realised I'd never seen the first few episodes since they came out, which I think I probably watched with you.
Yeah.
So I watched the first few episodes and I just, do you know, in one way it made us just feel old because I kept thinking, God, they look so young. They look so young. How old is she? She's like 24 or something in that first.
Still looking amazing, Gillian Anderson.
She does, yeah. Mm-hmm. He looks all right as well.
I haven't seen him in much lately.
No, maybe he's not. Anyway, it was a really weird experience watching something again from like that you haven't watched again, but you think you have quite a strong memory of, and maybe you don't quite have as strong a memory of it as you think. And also maybe we all watch so much more police procedural type things now that we think we know how things work. I don't know if I'm making sense. But for example, like in the first episode, they go and investigate this. They think it's an alien abduction or something, or this woman's been abducted and then brought back and she's got no memory. And then they have no authority at all. But they're the FBI. So like everything we're watching now, when the FBI turn up, everything gets handed over to them immediately and they're in charge. They're
like the agency of last resort, and they'll come in when the local police can't do it and they'll sort it out. Yeah.
In this one, they're like, you're not messing with my case. You're not seeing the body. You're not doing the, and I'm like, is that how, what? Like, I found it confusing because modern television is so different to that, and I don't know what the actual truth is about the FBI.
It's the same tension, isn't it? Just but the power is different.
Yeah, they have no power
at
all, and they're constantly fighting for every little bit of information that they get, and nobody wants to talk to them. And I didn't remember that part of it. And also, I thought that it was almost like Monster of the Week stories, and that each one was kind of wrapped up with an over arc. But that's not quite true either. There's a lot of them you never find out what happened. And
you'd be more disappointed with that these days, wouldn't you? I mean, back in the day, you'd be a bit more forgiving if things kind of tailed off and stuff. But I think after Lost, remember how upset everyone was after Lost, where they had all these strange...
I never finished it. I lost interest.
I don't think I did, but they had all these strange kind of promises and hints, and never followed through on any of them. I think after that, hopefully TV's got a bit more used to the fact that we want to be satisfied, we want to know what happened.
I mean, having the over arc where you don't know what's happening is great, but not having everything. Oh, I skipped episode 3, the one with the stretchy man.
Oh God, yes.
I didn't watch that. No, I was home alone, and I was not watching that. But yeah, it was really interesting. I think, like, just from that point of view of how television's changed and what our expectations are and what we think our knowledge is, even though our knowledge might not be right. Like, why would I know how the FBI works? We don't have the FBI. So in my head, I'm like, that's not how it would happen. But then I'm thinking, based off of what? Bones.
Or Die Hard. The FBI come in, we're going to turn off the power to the building. They didn't mess about. They weren't doing any nonsense,
Yeah, it wasn't. So yeah, that was really interesting. I watched about half a dozen episodes, except for that one. And you do want to keep watching it. Oh, and there was a tiny little Seth Green in one of the episodes. I mean, like, tiny. And he had long hair. And I was like, oh, Seth Green. I can't look at you that way in this because it'd be really inappropriate. But Seth Green now, still good. And the only other thing, and then you speak again, is that I've got this weird obsession with Scientology, and yes, and I've been watching, and I watch a lot of Scientology on YouTube, on the YouTubes. Particularly, one of my favorites is called Grown Up in Scientology. He's called Aaron Smith-Levin, and he's been covering the Danny Masterson trial that's been going on the last 2 weeks, and doing daily updates and sometimes twice daily updates about what's been going on there, because it really hasn't been getting a lot of press. And he's a horrible little man who will hopefully go to prison very soon. So that, like, been watching twice daily updates of that is taking up quite a bit of my telly watching time. So I think that's about it. I got one more, but have you got another one?
Strange New Worlds.
Ooh.
Have you seen it?
No.
Is it on Paramount Plus? It might be on Paramount Plus. So this is kind of the Anson Mount offshoot from Discovery. Did you watch Discovery?
No.
Star Trek Discovery.
Oh, wait. I'm behind with that as well.
Okay.
But I had watched some of it.
Yeah, the series with Pike in it, Captain Pike.
Yes.
And yeah, so it's following Pike's Enterprise before Kirk gets there. And there's a Spock, and there's a Uhura, and there's so some familiar faces and some new faces. It's amazing. What I love most about it is, first series, it didn't even try to go for an arc. It had a kind of running theme in that in Discovery, Pike saw his own future. He ends up in a wheelchair. And powerful leader.
Yeah, I watched that recently, the original series one.
Yeah. So he knows his own future. He's about 10 years from that happening. So that's the theme that goes through his character arc But in terms of story arc, not a bit. It's Alien of the Week.
Oh, I missed that.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was funny. The characters were good. My favourite character was Spock's wife. And they were like, for Vulcans, they were like a comedy act. They were just hilarious.
I didn't know Spock had a wife.
Yeah, he's always had a wife. But like, because they're so long-lived, it's absolutely fine to not see each other for a couple of 100 years or whatever.
It's all right to me.
It's like Tuvok as well had a wife. They've all got wives like you just.
Oh, I knew Tuvok had one.
You know, but sorry.
No, nothing.
Yeah, Strange New Worlds, but it looks incredible because big kind of paradox with Star Trek is the more modern the series, the better it looks graphically and digitally and in production. So when you get a prequel, you know, it must be hard because this is set in a pre-Kirk era, immediately before Kirk. In fact, Kirk's brother's in it.
Oh,
but they've handled it sensitively, so it looks great. The graphics are great. It's a really good production. But you know, the girls are still in the short 60s dresses. I love that. I love that. You know,
and the big niggas.
Oh yeah, I mean they've handled it well. Yeah, it still looks like how they would have done Trek originally if they could have. Do you know what I mean?
Sad
So
money.
you kind of forgive it. But Anson Mount is phenomenal. You know, he obviously got his own series for a reason, and you can see. Wow.
Who is it? Who's the actor?
Anson Mount.
All right.
Brilliant Panic. Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting because I've been watching the original series of Star Trek because I'd realised I hadn't watched it all, or I'd only watched it like whatever episode was on telly that day and not in order and
I
stuff.
don't think we ever saw them in sequence.
No, never.
By the time we were watching TV, we were in the next gen phase, and your series was something we just saw as and when it was on TV. So I don't think I ever saw it sequentially. Yeah, maybe I should do that.
Well, we've been doing it. It's quite interesting, but because it's like all they've HD'd it up, I think. So you do spend like part of every episode trying to clock Kirk's weave. And some episodes it's much more obvious than others. And it takes the edge off a little bit. I wonder if they should not have HD'd it and just left it be. But then would modern audiences still watch it without that? I'm very much enjoying it. But I
find it reason it's been so many other series, isn't there?
Well, yeah, but I find it quite hard to binge. I'm like 2 episodes and that's it.
Sometimes.
Yeah, because they're quite long and sometimes they could have been edited. I think we're used to like a faster pace and things always happening, and so that slower sort of pace, I think for a modern audience can be a little bit more just harder work.
Yeah.
Like, where?
Seems to be a bit easier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do the work for us.
I'm just going to look at this knitting pattern for 10 minutes and I'll come back to you. It is good though. It is good. But you end up watching things like how much eye makeup they've got on DeForest Kelly, and if you can clock Kirk's weave, and are their trousers short or are they tucked into their boots? This might just be me though. I've come to realise.
Yeah, I don't know. I was never a fan of their trousers, whether they're tucked in or short. Neither works. Just yeah. So they should be yachting. Yeah.
Thing is, Trini keeps recommending women wear their trousers like that, and I'm like, you look like you're in Star Trek, which is cool.
But she doesn't know everything. Do you know what I mean?
She doesn't. She obviously has not seen Star Trek, the original series, otherwise she would not be doing that to our trousers. The only other thing I've watched was we took the kiddo to see the Super Mario Brother movie at the Pictures.
Who wants to see that? Is it worth it?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I was right in the huff about going. I thought they were going and I was going to get the morning to myself. And that's not what happened.
That's so disappointing.
I was right in the huff about it, stomping down the hill to the customs house. And because I was in the huff, I got beer as soon as I got there to take in with us. I love that. And actually, it was bloody brilliant.
Really?
It was. I mean, it is what it is. It's like it's Super Mario Brothers, isn't it? But it's very funny. It's very action packed. We watched it in a room full of little kids who were so excited, so they kept shouting things like "Hamza!" and that like made it more exciting as well, because there's a room full of tiny little kids who are like living their best lives right now.
Oh, yes. Cute.
And it was funny as well. It was funny, and I'm glad after all me tantruming, I was really glad I went. It was funny and it was fun, and I would go and see it again at the pictures. Still with beer, but
I
yeah,
will take her then. Yeah.
I would. It's fun. I might have whiffed it up too much now, and you'd be like, shit, but
What you on about? Yeah.
yeah. But I liked it. I thought it was fun. Have you got anything else?
One more. Again, nothing I'm talking about is new. It's just new to me. Do you know what I mean?
That's my entire podcast, Kel.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. This one's back to Netflix. Dirk Gently.
Ooh.
Did you watch it?
Is it the American one?
Yes.
No.
Right. You see,
I've watched the Stephen Mangan one.
that was crap. Sorry, I love Stephen Mangan.
I love Stephen Mangan too.
It was not a good series.
No.
This one had all the ingredients to make me think, as a Douglas Adams fan, and particularly as a Dirk Gently, the fictional character fan, this is going to make me really cross. But Catherine wanted to watch it, so we put it on. And keep the character English. Dirk Gently's a young Englishman. He's not he's not my Dirk Gently. Do you know what I mean?
Does that mean he's skinny?
He is skinny. But when you get, the fictional Dirk Gently wasn't fat. Remember, he was too lazy to be fat. So he only kept himself just not fat enough to like carry his own weight. so he's a bit skinnier than that. But if you get past what your own Dirk Gently looks like, there's nothing about his character that goes against Douglas Adams. He's very funny, very chaotic, you know. There's 2 series, they're both really good. And it's pointless to try and run through a kind of linear narrative, because like the books, it's all over the place. And
Do they follow the stories of the books?
No, they reference them, and I think this was actually a really wise decision. But, you know, when Dirk Gently first meets the main character, actually isn't Dirk Gently, it's what's his name? He was Frodo, the Lord of the Rings.
Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood. And when he first meets Elijah Wood, he kind of references, yeah, I know, we did this, it's a reference to the sofa, you know, the sofa stick on the stair. So they're referenced. It's meant to be part of the same universe. This is like what he did next.
Right.
I loved it. The Americans are actually fantastic. You know, Elijah Wood's all right. His screen sister's even better. She's fantastic. But it reminds me so much of the book. It's missing that kind of witty Englishness in the narrative. But what it does keep is that kind of everything going on, and you don't know what to the end, and then it all makes sense. But you have to get to the end, and it ties everything together. And I love that. And Catherine, who barely watches, nearly 14, barely watches TV like most people her generation. The program's too big. She likes the 2-minute YouTube videos.
Yeah.
But she loved it so much she cried when there was an announcement that there wasn't going to be a 3rd series. She actually sobbed and wanted me to Google to Twitter somebody or something. Do you know what I mean? Send them a tweet. But yeah. I mean, as a fan of the literature, you know, don't let that put you off, because I am, and I loved it.
Yeah, it's probably, when anybody asks what my favorite book is, the Long Dark Tea Time of the Soul, it'll be the one that I choose most often. So yeah, we got a text off Dad saying, have you seen the bloody Americans have made Dirk Gently? I'm not watching it. And I let that influence me a little bit.
Watch it. Yeah.
Okay. Has Dad watched it? Do you know?
I don't think so. I actually sent him this one scene in particular. That's my favourite scene. It's a hostage exchange on the bridge. And because it's halfway through the series, there's a lot of stuff going on, but they haven't connected it yet. And they're speaking to someone on the other side of the bridge who's in a similar position. He's got the other side, but they're like, it's hilarious. And I sent him that clip. So watch it. I don't think they have, but I mean, it's hilarious.
No.
Yeah, no, this guy's got this woman hostage. It's like, I'll kill her if you don't give me. They've got his dog. I'll kill her if you don't give us our dog back. And they're like, who is she? Like, don't you know? Do you? And it's just like, none of them know. What the hell's going on? It's just fun. It's fun.
Okay, I'm writing that down as well. I might, but I still feel weird about it. I think you should know that.
I know. I did too, but I'm glad I did.
Okay, maybe. I think that's everything for me for watching stuff. The next one is any other nerdy stuff? You've got a big one.
I wouldn't call it nerdy as such. It's more comedy, but you can't see what I'm wearing, so I'll take it off. This is my Cheshire United football scarf, and the reason I'm wearing it is that yesterday I was at Cheshire United at Alex Horne's comedy football. Alex Horne from Taskmaster, who's a Cheshire resident, and he does lots for local charities and supporting local things. I don't think he gets enough credit for that, but he's really very well known and respected in Cheshire for that. But this thing was hilarious. So I went with Jim and Catherine and one of her school friends. And I was kind of thinking, well, you know, there's a lot of interesting people in it, but it's football. I'm not a football fan. Who was there? I should have researched before this, because I'll tell you what they're all off of. I don't necessarily know their names. Yeah. So Alex Horne's there, Hugh Dennis, Ed Gamble, Mark Watson, two Ghosts actors, Thomas Bainton and Mike off of Ghosts. I don't know his name.
Kyle Smith something. Oh
yeah, sorry. I love you. Sorry. Simon off The In-Betweeners, whose real name's Joe something, but I don't know what. Aisling Beasling did the commentary, and let's just say, is a non-football fan, it was on my level. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
I love her.
It's like if someone fell down on the pitch, you know, they'd go and do a stretch, and she'd be like, they're pulling his legs off. Yes, there was Egg United against Chicken City, and it was brilliant. So the captain of the egg team had to have an egg in his hand the whole time, and the captain of the chicken team had to carry a chicken drumstick the whole time. There was massive Taskmaster inflatable ducks, and every now and again they used to just come on the field and the players weren't allowed to touch them, so if it rolled in front of the goal, that's just hard cheese. There's air horns, and each side could use an air horn twice in one session, one side, one
half.
Thank you. I'm not a football fan.
Neither am I, but I know it's a fucking half.
An air horn twice in one half, and when the air horn goes off, the other side's team have to lie down for 5 seconds. It was just hilarious. It was really good fun. But surprisingly, not surprisingly at all, is some of them could play actually decent football. And there was times I forgot it was comedy and said, oh, go on. Yeah.
Which team were you supporting?
It's really hard because there was people I liked on both teams, and they were both in Cheshire colours, like home and away. So I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. So I just watched it impartially. So I have no skin in this game. Really. It was good fun. It was good fun. So Catherine is not a fan of football, and also didn't know who most of the people were, but she loves ghosts.
Yeah.
So she installed herself, you know, kind of right by the pathway they walk off the field, but for the whole of the second half, and didn't move. And she managed to get the autographs of Mike and Thomas off of Ghosts, and she got a selfie with
Matthew Boynton,
which made her so happy. It really did.
I've seen it.
The other thing is, there's a whole generational thing, because her and her friend came over to us at one point when we think Matthew Rose is here. Like, who? YouTuber. Apparently, we're scared to talk to him. It's like, a YouTuber, just say hello. And I think they did eventually. I don't know who this guy is. But then it works the other way around, because when she was waiting in the pack, loads of the celebrities were talking to her, and she, and she didn't ask for autographs or selfies because she had no clue who they were.
Oh, that's so funny. And it's interesting as well that that it's ghosts that she knows him from and not horrible histories, which...
Well, she would have known him from Horrible Histories. Horrible Histories is brilliant, but Ghosts is special.
I know, it is special.
Ghosts is special. This
It
is
is.
another thing I've made Jim watch. It was our first fight as a couple. He told me he'd never watched Ghosts. I was like, you what? And I frog marched him to the TV.
I don't understand why anyone doesn't watch it. Like, and I've watched it all the way through several times. Did you see that they're not making any more after the... But on the other hand, we don't want it to go shit either, do we?
Yeah, no, I agree. If something's good, do a young ones. End it on your own terms when it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, blow them all up.
Yeah.
Oh no, I think that's brilliant.
It's good, and it was all for local charities and for the football stadium as well. So, I mean, I've lived in Cheshire nearly 7 years. I think I get a scarf now.
You do. You're allowed. You're allowed. My nerdy stuff is, since the last time I did this thingy, this came out. Yay! So this is the Monster Fun Twisted Time Travel Special from Rebellion. And I wrote this first story. It's battered because I've been carrying it around and making people on the train, strangers, read it. But I wrote this.
Amazing.
I wrote it. Me.
Fantastic.
And like a really weird thing happened in that it was reviewed online.
Oh my God, was it a good one? Should we review their review?
Yes, well, it was 2 lines because it's one page of the comic, you know. But I was like, put on all my social media immediately, of course. That was quite exciting. And I have another one sent off, so that's quite exciting.
It's amazing.
I as a comic writer now.
My sister's a comic writer. I'm so proud.
It's quite an odd thing, but I like it a lot. It's a really weird thing in that I'll get a thing through to say to write one, and then I go into like full on, I can't do that, what they're doing, why did I ever say I would do it, panic, and then I write it. I think I have. Does anyone not have terrible imposter syndrome in the world?
Men?
That was a deeply sexist thing to say, darling.
Well, I'll say something nice about men. Maybe they're just really good at covering it.
Yeah, I think they do actually. I know a couple of men who have not so much confidence in their abilities, but they have them and they're good. You know who doesn't have it? Men who are shit at stuff.
Yeah.
They're quite content. Yeah, that's what it is. Oh, we've got all girl power. Anyway, that's quite exciting. And the other quite exciting nerdy thing is in 2 weeks I'm going to the Lawless Comic Con in Bristol.
Amazing.
And they've just released the program, and so I am, there's my nerves. I am interviewing Dave Gibbons on Saturday, and then do you know who Dave Gibbons is? So he was the artist of Watchmen, which
I know what, yeah.
And so many other things like Green Lantern and Doctor Who and Rogue Trooper and Harlem Heroes, I think, and Dante. There's not anything that I think that he hasn't drawn or written. He's amazing. So, and then on the Sunday, I'm interviewing Mick McMahon, who is one of the, well, I know him best from 2000 AD and Judge Dredd and things like that. And then I'm doing a Doctor Who in comics panel in the afternoon as well, with Ben Wilshire and Mike Collins and Paddy Goddard. Maybe somebody else.
This is amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting, and I'm looking forward to it very much.
I haven't been to a con for years. Actually, Catherine's dragging me to Comic-Con in late May.
Is it LFCC?
What does that mean?
London Film and Comic Con.
I think so. I'm not as excited as I would have been a few years ago. I think it's mostly like anime and young people into anime rather than a proper,
Yeah.
We'll see. I'll go along. She's going to dress as a kind of Japanese demon slayer. Somebody will know what that means. I don't know.
It won't be me. I won't know. But we'll tell her she looks fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got a great sword off Amazon.
All the swords in my house, and there are a few, were bought by Hugh.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
Well, he got one for Tala years ago. That is the Thundercats. Tala still loves Thundercats, and is actually wearing a Thundercats t-shirt today. And it's Thundercats sword, and you can extend it. Like everything I do looks rude, but you can pull the sword out and it gets bigger. No,
well, that's the other way around, isn't it?
And anyway, you push the button and it says thunder, 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 Thundercats ho, like that. Except
I want that sword.
What?
I want that sword.
Well, you can have it because that gets really old after a whole day of a kid pressing it. And then I think it says Sword of Omens give me sight beyond sight. And then, but now it's been quite a long, it's been years and years and years and years, and so that the batteries have run out, so it says it like thunder, thunder.
Yeah, I remember Ellen, my stepdaughter, she had a Narnia wand, talking about 15 years ago, and when its batteries eventually, I kept putting it in the bin, and she would stick it out and hide it, and then I realised he was doing the same. We were just taking it back out and hiding it. And that thing, when you stood on it on your way to the loo at 3 a.m, whoosh, oh, it's terrifying. Terrifying. Yeah.
Yes.
They just hang around forever as well, those things. It's
when the batteries are running out, it sounds spooky as all shit. Like it's not cool anymore. It's just terrifying. That's the problem. Also, I'm also never replacing the batteries, so I'm kind of stuck with it. That's all my nerdy shit. I had tons of knitting, but we've been going for ages, so I might not talk about all of it. I'll just talk about a couple of things. But do you want to go first, or shall I go first?
Well, I'm not as good as a knitter as you, so I'm doing a very plain cardigan, all in garter stitch, and I'm afraid that's, after decades of knitting, that's still about my level, because I don't do as much as I should.
I don't know though. I think shaping and garter stitch can be a little bit more difficult than stocking stitch.
Yeah, well, I'm doing this thing where you slip stitch the first stitch of the row, and then that's helped kind of.
Then you can pick up those stitches.
Yeah, and it stopped it curling, which is good. So I will take that from this pattern to other garter stitches, because I went through a phase of knitting garter stitch scarves and it all just curled.
I do, yeah. Yeah, stocking stitch ones are really bad for that as well.
You actually give me the recommendation for the wool. It was from, where is it? Wool Warehouse. And it comes in a fabulous bag.
I know, it's the best.
I love them. I've got them all. Yeah. And
then when we get you spinning, those bags are perfect for washing. They're perfect for washing your fleece in.
Oh, good idea.
Yeah. So are you knitting Drops wool? Is it?
What does Drops mean?
Drops is the brand. Be on the ball band like this.
Yes.
Hey.
Yeah. It's like teal. Yeah. Oh, they do patterns and tutorials. I wish I'd seen that first.
Their patterns are shite. Don't use Drops patterns.
All right. Okay. Thanks.
Number one, I love the yarn, but what they do is they're terrible for ripping off designers' designs. So if like a big designer puts out a design, they'll like reverse engineer it and put it out for free. But
that's sneaky.
It is sneaky, and they're like really they're not very detailed patterns, so that if you're not really a really confident knitter anyway, then you'll struggle. So don't use that pattern. Use the wool, but don't use their patterns.
Okay.
bit shifty that way.
But just so you know, I've been knitting this since January, and I've knitted the back, and this is the second front panel.
That's not bad.
You think? I think I should have finished it by now. I feel really kind of like I'm not applying myself to the knitting.
I don't think so. I don't think that's bad. That's a lot of knitting, a back and two fronts.
Yeah.
Well, depending on who it's for. Like if it was for a baby, it would be a bit shit.
Yeah, no, it's for me.
Well, there you go. That's quite a lot of knitting.
Itty big, yeah.
Gorgeous. I've finished a thing.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Well, it's like it's called the Friday Shrug. Now, shrug must be an American term, because a shrug to me is one of them things from the late 90s, early 90s, where it's just sleeves with a tiny bit of back.
Like ballerinas shrugs.
Yeah, that's what a shrug is.
Yeah,
Sleeves, basically, with connecting bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this one, you're supposed to wear it like
that's a really big cowl.
Yes, that's what I think. It's a cowl.
It looks like a big cowl.
It's a boob cowl. That's what it is. Yeah. Anyway, it's just 1 by 1 ribbon in the round, so it was very easy and very quick. But because I'm very lazy, I haven't weaved in any of the ends, so I knotted them because I couldn't be bothered. It's handy though for like I've got it on my hair now. It's handy for like work when it's like
literally
most of the time my work is far too hot, so I go in vests, and then like when I'm working till 8 at 7:30, I think, oh, I must turn the heating off. It's good for that. And then the other thing, I'm knitting out of Drops wool as well. This is a different one. This one's Charisma. I think yours is Drops Alaska.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Drops Charisma. This is a pattern by Sari Nordland, who does really great patterns. And it's a cardigan. I've knit the body. Can you see it or not?
I can, it's lovely. Just out of interest, how long does it take you to knit a cardi?
Don't ask. What this is about 2 weeks.
Oh, bloody hell, I'm proud.
I applied myself. Actually, do you know what? This one was really interesting because it's knit in a construction that I've never knit before. So basically, you cast on the back stitches, all of those, and then you knit to about there, and then you put those stitches on hold, and then you pick up stitches here and knit down for a bit, and then put those stitches on hold, pick up stitches along here, knit down for a bit, put them on hold, and then join them all together, and that makes your armhole.
Oh, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I knit this one really quickly, because I was enjoying it, and now I'm at a sleeve. Like, so all the rest of it was knit in the first week, and then this is how much of a sleeve I've knit in the second week, because sleeves I can do and they're not interesting, they're boring. But I like the texture. It's like a broken rib, so it's you knit one round or one row, and then the next row you knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one, and then the next row you knit. So but it's going to be quite thick. But and then once I finish the sleeves, there's a button band and neckline to do as well. But I've got a bit stuck on it because sleeves are boring. But I thought the construction was really interesting. And then the other thing, it's down here. So a couple of weeks ago we went to Bath for Izzy's big birthday, and they've got this really beautiful wool shop there, so a ton of nerdy ladies turned up to infiltrate the wool shop, and I got this gorgeous stuff.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
It's like a sea foamy green.
Yeah, it looks really soft.
It's so soft. It's baby sorry, I just hit the microphone. It's baby alpaca. Sorry if you can hear toddler noises. Tencel and merino wool mixture. So I wanted to knit a top out of it, but like at a really open gauge. I'm going to struggle to show you this with this stupid, because it's on the needles. But that's the neckline there, and then there's the sleeves and the top of it all being knit in one, but it's impossible to show you because it's on the thing. But I wanted this really loose open gauge, so it'd be like a summer top. And it's beautiful and dead soft, and I've knit all of that out of one ball, which is, I'm about to here, so I'll be splitting for the sleeves soon, and then I'm just going to knit straight down. But I haven't really got a pattern, I just winging it.
Oh, that's what I aspire to. You see, I need instructions, and they need to be detailed.
Well, I looked up like a one that I'd knit before, just to have like a cast on number, and then I was like, right, I know what I want to do. So my idea is for the sleeves, instead of just like knitting this much and then doing a little bit of ribbon at the bottom, what I think I'm going to do is cast on extra ones to make like a flutter, like, do you know what I mean, like a flutter type thing. But we'll see how that turns out when I get to it. But that's it. And then I've done some socks and stuff.
Love socks.
So, have you worn yours yet that I made you?
I did. I put off wearing them for so long because they were so gorgeous, and you put such beautiful beading in. I don't put them on my feet, do you know what I mean? But I did eventually on a chilly evening, and they were just lovely and lovely.
They're made to be worn.
I know, but they're prettier than my average socks.
But they're still just socks.
Yeah, I love them.
Oh, good. I'm pleased. I like knitting socks. Also, I spun this.
Oh, that's lovely.
The colour's not coming across very well.
It's really deep green. I can see it.
Yeah, it's like one strand is like a teal and one strand is like a forest green. And then I applied them together and then got this. Don't know what I'm going to do with it though. But I was talking to Bev the other day, who's our aunt, and she's a spinner and knitter as well. And I was sending her a picture of there's this company that have invented this. They want to make, because spinning is a really expensive investment. So to actually spin, buying fleece and stuff is quite cheap, but the spinning wheel is very expensive. So how do you know if you're going to like it without spending all that money? Anyway, they've designed an electric spinning wheel that attaches to a sewing machine. So you just pull a bit off your sewing machine, shove it on, and they're selling it for about 50 quid. I mean, which I appreciate is still an investment, but it's not a 350, 400 pound investment.
Yeah.
And then you use your treadle off your sewing machine. So I was like, that's genius.
Yeah. If you've got a sewing machine, yeah.
If you've got, do you not have a sewing machine?
Catherine has one. It's one marketed for kids, but it seems to be like a proper one. So I don't know. I'll have to have a proper look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, most people have a sewing machine, even if they've never used it. It just appears in your house and you never know where it came from.
Yeah.
What happens? It doesn't happen to men. Women acquire sewing machines. Maybe that with the idea they're going to do things and then they never, ever, ever, ever do.
Is it tools with men? Again, I don't want to be kind of like stereotyping, but
they just appear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember buying a wrench, but there's a one around the house now. I think that's more of a man thing. Yeah.
I remember when I moved into my flat on my own, Dad bought me a screwdriver set with all different size Allen keys and little screwdrivers and big screwdriver and stuff, and it was the best thing ever, best present ever. I use it still all of the time. I remember where my screwdrivers come from. Dad. I think that's was that too much knitting? That was a lot of knitting. Not even fucking all the knitting, but you know. I have a problem. I've got to this point, I think, where I've been a knitter for a while now, where I find it really hard not to be knitting, or I find it much easier for my brain to concentrate on stuff if I'm doing something like knitting with my hands. So I find that you know, if I was at work and they had a long, like, what's it called? It's not really a training session where they just tell you all about what they're doing, like
All right, a briefing or
something like that. I don't know what you would call it. And it couldn't, so you can't just knit, like when it was on Zoom,
hands under the table,
I
yeah.
find it easier to concentrate. So
Yeah.
what happens is I only paid half attention and I've got like 3 pages full of boxes drawn on a notepad.
Yeah.
But even watching telly and stuff now, I find I can't concentrate if I'm not knitting.
See, I aspire to that, but I don't knit enough for it to be like muscle memory knitting. I have to kind
But
of
you
concentrate.
crochet that much though? You were crocheting that much?
Yeah, I love crocheting. I find crocheting a lot more intuitive. I can do that quickly. I don't think it's as complicated. And
Oh, I think it's loads more complicated.
as well. But yeah, if I've got a bit of free time, it's kind of knitting or my jigsaw. I'm just so rock and roll, you know.
Look who you're talking to. Sad old ladies on the internet. I was just saying to my sister before we started recording, I was like, if there's anything that you do not want to be put out into the world, don't say it, because I'm not editing, because I can't work out how to do it. I'm really, really rubbish. And there's all these old ladies that have knitting YouTube channels who are all editing stuff and putting pictures in and adding other little bits of video. So I should learn, because I've been doing this a while now.
It's hard to do it. She will probably not be kind to you though in an edit.
No, Tal, in fairness to Tal, has their GCSE starting next week. I'm not asking that kid to do anything.
Well, yeah. I mean, the fact is, she'd come back with a 5-second video. That's the only interesting bit.
Oh God, I don't think they would
Edited
stick
out the
through it.
dross.
It's just laziness. I love doing these and I enjoy them and I get a lot out of it, but I can't be asked to put like an even minimal amount of work. And I think it's because I started in audio and I was really good at audio editing. I knew all about how to do it and trim it down and take out background noises and blah. And I'm thinking, I've learned a skill now. I'm not fucking doing it again. And that's what happens to old people, and that's how they don't know how to use their phones. And that is now me. I did it once. I'm not doing it again. I don't want to learn.
Oh gosh, yeah. When are we at school? Yeah.
When I'm away at, I was going to tell you this. When I'm away at Lawless, there's going to be a Comic Con, not like comics, but like a film and Comic Con thing in Newcastle for the first time in a very long time. And do you know who one of the guests is? James Masters.
Oh, we saw him at the first con we ever went to.
Yes, so that's why I brought it up. So Kelly and I went to the very first SFX event in 2001.
Blackpool, yeah.
Like Blackpool pool in the Sandcastle Hotel, Castle Norbrec.
Oh, that sounds vaguely familiar. Yeah, he was good fun though. He was good fun.
Tiny little man. He was lovely, wasn't he? We met James Masters and
Joe Pantoliano.
Yeah, Joe Pantoliano. Or you wanted you to call him Joey Pants. I remember that. And this is what I was going to point out as well. Sally was there, and I actually have a photo of the back of her, and it was before I'd met her.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and Hugh was there, and we didn't meet him either. And Sally was there, and we didn't meet her either. And yeah. Crazy Comic-Con world. Yeah, so
happy days. Yeah.
Happy days. Yeah. Oh, that was a good weekend. The bits that I remember.
Well, there was that free ball, wasn't there?
Well, yes, and somebody was not on their best behaviour, Kelly Morris, at that time, or that day, I remember.
Well, luckily I don't remember.
Yeah. You were like, I'm not leaving.
Whatsoever for you to remind
I remember you saying these kids at the bar going, I'm not leaving, there's still wine there. It's being paid for. Bring it.
Big girl out of Newcastle, but
Maybe you were channeling Paul McGann in with you. We want the finest wines.
Known to humanity. You want them? Yeah, we want them now. Although I think that was Richard E. Grant.
Was it?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but that bit would make me Paul McGann, and I'm all right with that. So. Right, well, thank you very much for coming and podcasting with me. I hope you've had fun.
I have. It's so nice to see your face. I miss you.
I miss you too, and it's really weird talking to you in a sort of formal manner.
I know.
I haven't called you any names.
No, are you gonna show like a montage of crap photos when you post?
Well, if I learned how to edit really quickly in the next 3 days, then
it's fine. Yeah.
but maybe we'll try and stick Catherine's picture with Matthew Boynton.
Yeah.
Boynton.
Yeah.
Damn your eyes. But thank you very much, and I love you.
I love you too.
I want to stop recording now if I can work out how to do it. Oh, I've just found the pause button. I could have paused it when shithole was in the shower. Oh well. You live, you learn.
If you found the edit button.
Not Zoom. Right. I love you. Mwah.